إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله.
And the best of nations, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about it, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس, you were the best of nations to come out to people. The nation of Muhammad, without any doubt and without a competition, is no doubt the greatest nation that Allah had ever sent to mankind. But for this nation to be honorable, and for this nation to be respected, and for this nation to attain glory the way it was in the past, the members of this nation must be proud of its identity, which is something that Muslims lost, and something that the enemies of Islam had worked on for many years for Muslims to forget their identity, or at least if they don't forget their identity, not to be proud of their identity, not to be proud to say that I am a Muslim, not to be proud to say you're a Muslim. When you say you're a Muslim, then know that there's faults in you. This is what we've been taught. This is the old generation. They're embarrassed to say that we are Muslims. Some people are even embarrassed to say their names is Muhammad, so they say their name is Michael, or their name is Mahmoud or Ahmed. They change it with other names, George or Sam or Michael. They're embarrassed. Not that they don't believe in Islam, they do believe in Islam, no doubt, but they're not proud of this identity. Not proud to be a Muslim. And this is one of the greatest things that the enemies of Islam had focused on the Muslim world, to make them feel humiliated when they say they are Muslims. And some people migrated from Muslim countries into this country, and they feel embarrassed to say they are Muslims. And we know many of them. Each one of us at least knows one or two. They're embarrassed to say they are Muslims, and they've changed their Muslim names to other names so people don't recognize them, they are Muslims. That's why this ummah in the past decades had lost its glory and respect, because we're not proud of who we are. When we are the nation that should be proud of who we are. We have the Quran, we have Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we have Islam, and we have the greatest Lord Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are the ones that must be proud. And if there's anyone that must be proud of their identity, it is us that must be proud of who we are. We must be proud of who we are. When I say I am a Muslim, I don't say it with my head down, but I say it with my head up, proud of who I am. I am a Muslim. Not because my name is Muhammad, because of the principles I believe in. I believe in the Quran. Do you have something better than the Quran? I believe in Allah. Do you have a better God than Allah? And I follow Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Do you have someone better to follow than Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? My brothers in Islam, we must be proud of our identity. We must be proud of who we follow. We must be proud of what we believe in. We must be proud of what we do. We must be proud of what we follow. We believe in it in our hearts. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the Arabs, the one nation that all other nations used to look down at, because of lack of education and civilization. But when Islam came into their hearts, they became the leaders of mankind. And they were proud of being a Muslim, not an Arab. They were not proud just to be an Arab. They were proud to be Muslims. They were proud to be followers of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And when they used to say it, they used to say it with their heads up, with pride and glory. If we want to see this ummah obtain its glory and honor and respect once again, we need to be proud of who we are. And I want to ask you, and I point this question to those who are sometimes embarrassed to say they are Muslims. I want to ask a question to those who are sometimes embarrassed to say they are Muslims, or indicate they are Muslims by saying their names as Muhammad or Ahmad, or Mustafa, or Aisha or Khadija. I want to ask you, why are you embarrassed? Why? Why are you embarrassed? Is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam the one that you follow? Someone who is an embarrassment for you to follow? Is the Quran that you read a book that's an embarrassment for you to follow? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Lord and the Creator and the Master an embarrassment for you, wal-'iyadhu billah, that you worship? Where is our honor and glory? The honor and glory does not come from outside, my brothers in Islam. Remember that. Honor and glory and respect does not make you. And this is another misunderstanding that we have. Honor and glory and respect does not make you. You make the glory and honor and respect. Honor and respect and glory did not make Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he is the most honorable and most respected sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but he made the honor and respect and glory. The Sahaba did not go and get honor and respect from anywhere, but they made the honor and respect. We need to bring the honor back to us and that respect. We need to bring that glory back to ourselves. And it all begins by your identity, who you are. Who are you? Who are you? And this answer comes when you answer the second question is, what are you living for? If you know what you're living for, then you know who are you. If you know what the principles that you follow, then you know who are you. If you know what you surrender to, then you know who are you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, had made this easy for us. Allah Azza wa Jal had made this easy for us. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says in the hadith that the first question that the angels of death or the angels of the grave, Munkar wa Nakir, the first questions they ask you after you are dead in your grave, they ask you about your identity. They ask you about your identity. So they could know which path do you take, the hellfire or the paradise. And what do they say? Man Rabbuk, who is your Lord? Wama Dinuk, and what's your religion? Waman Nabiyuk, and who is the prophet they used to follow? Based on those three questions they ask, who is your Lord, what's your religion, and who is your prophet, then your identity will be clear. So who is your Lord? And what's your religion, and who is Muhammad? Definitely our Lord is Allah. And our religion is Islam. And our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. These are the three questions that the angels ask you in your grave to identify your identity based on what you do in this dunya, based on who you follow in this world, based on what you surrender to in this world. So my Lord is Allah, my religion is Islam, and my Prophet is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But is that just talk, or is it action? Is it talk that I say my Lord is Allah and my religion is Islam and my Prophet is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Or is that something that's in me? That just by people looking at me, they know that my Lord is Allah and my religion is Islam and my Prophet is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because this is where you see the difference between a nation that we live at this current moment that lost its respect or maybe reduced its respect and honor and glory And the nation in the past, where they obtained the glory and respect and honor, they used to see the worship of Allah in their faces, and used to see the submission and adherence to Islam in their actions, and used to see the following to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam in their lives. Are we proud of who we are? Are you proud Muslim? Are you proud of your identity? Because I know there's a lot that are, and unfortunately there's a lot that aren't. They believe in Islam, but they fear. They feel odd. They feel strange. They feel that people might look down at them if they say that we are Muslims. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, don't fear people, but fear the Lord of people. Don't be embarrassed of people, but be embarrassed of your Lord Allah. People are not the ones that you should be embarrassed of, but it's Allah, your creator and your master, that you must be embarrassed of. When you try and hide your identity, what happened? What happened to the beautiful word of Umar? The history records to the day of judgment. When Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and during his khilafah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had honored the Muslims that knew, established that the age of this new Islam does not even exceed 2 decades. Destroyed the largest 2 empires, the Roman Empire in the west and the Persian Empire in the east. And Muslims took to themselves a headquarters in Sham, in Damascus. They will ask Allah Azza wa Jal to free the people of Syria from their tyrant ruler. Muslims established Damascus as their new headquarters. And Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, all he knows of Damascus is what he hears about Damascus. So he was invited by the Muslim leaders in Damascus for him to come to Damascus before he goes past to Jerusalem. So Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu traveled from Medina up north towards Damascus. And when Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu arrived to Damascus, he was shocked to see the great civilizations that the Roman people had left behind, that the Arabs did not experience before. And he saw the effect and the influence of that civilization and development on the companions radiallahu ta'ala anhum, the mujahideen and the warriors, in their clothing and in their horses and in their items and weapons. Where Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu still wearing old clothes from Medina and Mecca. And it was time for Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu to travel from Damascus to Jerusalem. So some of the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum start to put pressure on Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala an, saying to him, "Oh Umar, you are the greatest leader standing on the surface of this earth, and you are going to meet other great leaders. So it's not nice and it's not suitable that in your clothing and appearance that you go and meet them like that. Let us give you new garments and a better horse than the horse that you are riding." Umar ibn al-Khattab refused at the beginning, but after continuous pressure on Umar ibn al-Khattab, he accepted. So he changed his garment and went on this new horse. But something came in his heart, that the glory of Allah and the izzah of Allah and the honor is from Allah and the respect comes through Islam. He felt that something in his heart different. So he came off the horse, took off that new garment and started to stone those people. He put pressure on him to change, and he said the most beautiful words, and he said, "نحن قوم أعزاء أعزنا الله بالإسلام فإذا ابتغينا العزة بغير الإسلام أذلنا الله." He said those beautiful words that every single Muslim needs to know, and every single Muslim needs to acknowledge, and every single Muslim needs to understand. We need to know it, and we need to make our children understand it. He said those words that we need to implement. He said, we are people that Allah had honored us through Islam, and if we seek an honor beside Islam, Allah would disgrace us.
شكرا يا ربي شكرا هديت قلبي شكرا نورت دربي شكرا شكرا يا رب
شكرا يا ربي شكرا هديت قلبي